Cult rituals tend to be kept under wraps, but when footage gets leaked, it's absolutely terrifying to see. In the 1950s, Indiana local Jim Jones founded a church that he claimed promoted socialism and equality, with religious elements of Christianity. Initially, he wasn't much more than a charismatic hustler who faked faith healings by having audience plants pull chicken livers out of congregants' mouths, but as the years progressed, he demanded more and more of his followers. In the early 1970s, he moved his group to California and set them up in a commune-like settlement in Redwood Valley. After he established several locations throughout the state, including its main headquarters in San Francisco, the temple forged ties with many left-wing political figures and claimed to have like 2,000 members. Granted, it might have been more like 3 to 5. Jones eventually came to believe that nuclear war was imminent and moved his followers again to the South American country of Guyana, because he thought this would be outside the potential danger zone. So the group lived there for several years as the People's Temple Agricultural Project. But after former members started speaking out against the church, San Francisco Congressman Leo Ryan decided to travel there to investigate claims of harm. During his visit, a number of temple members were like, "Hey, can we leave with you?" And they accompanied him to the local airstrip at Port Kituma. There they were intercepted by self-styled temple security guards who opened fire on the group, killing the congressman, 3 journalists, and one of the defectors, as well as injuring 9 others, including Ryan's aide, Jackie Spire. The video we have for you today is a couple of seconds of the incident that were captured on video by NBC cameraman Bob Brown, one of the journalists who sadly passed away in the attack. And this was right before the event we all know. That evening in Jonestown, Jones ordered his congregation to drink a concoction of poison-laced, grape-flavored Flavorate. Yeah, this is where we all got the phrase drinking the Kool-Aid, but it wasn't Kool-Aid. All in all, 918 people died, including 4 folks that died at the temple headquarters that night in the capital of Georgetown. Oh, and side note, surviving temple members of the mass death in the US announced their fears of being targeted by a hit squad composed of survivors, because, yeah, they were terrified. Similarly, in 1979, the Associated Press reported a US congressional aides claim that there were 120 white, brainwashed professional killers out from Jonestown awaiting the trigger words to pick up their hit. Temple insider Michael Prokes, who had been ordered to deliver a suitcase which contained temple funds, which were supposed to be transferred to the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, took his own life in March of 1979. 4 months after the incident. In the days leading up to his death, Michael sent notes to several people, together with a 30-page statement he had written about the temple. He had arranged for a press conference in a Modesto, California motel room, during which he read a statement to the 8 reporters who attended, before excusing himself, entering a restroom, and sadly taking his life. A Canadian nature lover's attempt to capture wildlife on camera kind of backfired in a terrifying way after she accidentally documented what appeared to be nude witches eating a carcass at night, right by her house. She said, "I don't know what the heck was up with that." This was Cornea Stanhope. She told the news outlet because she was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "It really freaked us out. It's not something you see every day." Yeah, no kidding. Now, the Powell River local had reportedly been riding one of her horses one day when she came across a dead deer in her garden. And while most folks might have been like, "Okay, gross, let's just get rid of it," the woman and her father decided to set up a camera to see if the carcass would attract any critters at night. Because why not? So she got there the next day and Bob said, "Hey, there's nude people on the camera." And she's like, "Okay, you're kidding, right?" She called a bull, and then he was like, "Nope, here's the photos." So these bone-chilling photos, taken just after sunset, showed 2 disheveled-looking women with long black hair that obscured their faces, squatting over this dead deer and appearing to dine on its remains. The wicked, hungry pair are completely in the nude, except for what looks like loincloths over their nether regions in the found footage horror film-esque moment. Now, the woman said it looks like they have wigs on because one woman might have blonde hair underneath, but you can't really tell from the photos. And you can see like there was the hoof that was brought right up to her mouth. Our poor witness said she wasn't sure if the so-called witches of Beastwick were kissing it, smelling it, or eating it, but was nonetheless sickened by the ritual, given the amount of bacteria that was possibly on the decaying carcass. Also, she was especially creeped out because the impromptu cuddling session occurred only 2 minutes away from her house. And she was concerned about these women messing with her horses at night, because apparently the horses get really spooked and really unnerved around that specific area. So at first, our witness thought like she was imagining things. Maybe it's something nothing. Social media seemed pretty convinced that the Canadian had witnessed witches, a local cult, or some other malevolent entity performing a demonic ritual. Somebody was like, "This is actually terrifying." Somebody else was like, "That's an S-walker. They look human, so you come up to them, and once you do, you're gone." Another person was like, "That's basically a walking demon from hell." If you hear screaming, stay inside, get a weapon, leave it alone. And a lot of folks were like, this is a demonic cult, which means stay away, folks. American professional boxer Ryan Garcia alleged once upon a time that Bohemian Grove, a place rumored to exist in the north of San Francisco, is very much real and is an elite club where he once witnessed some really heinous stuff. He claimed this while he was live on the app formerly known as Twitter with Andrew Tate on March 5 of 2024. Now, in the wake of his allegations, there was a video that went viral online that showed a satanic ritual. So this video was originally leaked in the year 2000 by prominent conspiracy theorist and radio show host Alex Jones, who allegedly infiltrated the Bohemian Grove around the same time after being denied entry multiple times. While the visual is a little hazy, audio is not the best, some kind of ritual was ongoing. There was fireworks, there was cloaked priests, and well, we've got all those speculations of alleged satanic ceremonies, and that's giving cult vibes. Additionally, Alex Jones's interview on the Joe Rogan Experience has also gone viral, where he claimed that when he trespassed on the Grove a couple decades back, he saw effigies being burnt in front of a large owl shrine, which only further fuels the alleged satanic cult ritual speculation. Well, the Bohemian Club website obviously denies the claims of secret and illegal affairs going on in the area, or technically even its existence. In a 2011 article, the Washington Post revealed that the members of the Manhattan Project met there regularly in the 1940s. That's enough proof for me. A mysterious snippet of footage showing people wearing black robes making an alleged human sacrifice in front of a statue at the European Organization for Nuclear Research campus was posted on YouTube back in 2016 to much debate. While some folks were quick to say, hey, it's fake, this was staged, it has been confirmed that the video was captured at the campus. It is believed that these cloaked figures are researchers performing a satanic sacrifice, just for reasons. And by the way, this area is a highly protected, restricted area with a lot of security gates and security cameras. And another mysterious piece of information is that the man who was filming the incident, even though he was freaking out because he was seeing all this weird stuff, his reflection shows that he's wearing a cloak similar to everybody else. So maybe he was a new initiate who got cold feet? And finally for today, back in 2021, Australia's ABC network was playing a routine news telecast when the anchor was taken by surprise as an unexpected satanic clip played during a switch of visuals. The anchor, Yvonne Young, was presenting a story about Queensland's proposal to make killing of police horses or dogs a criminal offense. Rightfully so. But her narration was visually cut by a frame of 3 officers walking down and then pans back at her. You know, typical stuff. However, a couple of seconds later, her narration once again gets interrupted by a change of visuals, but this time the network played a satanic ritual on screen during the live telecast. In those couple of seconds, a man can be seen standing in a black robe. Another person is seen standing beside the robe-clad person, and then there's somebody else sitting next to a keyboard. Oh, and by the way, there's also an upside-down cross in one corner of the room. The whole clip of the satanic ritual played for only a couple of seconds, but was caught by another media house. The man in the black robe can also be heard saying, "Hail Satan!" So the producers realized the mistake, immediately cut the feed, brought the anchor back on screen, and she stayed silent for a couple of seconds and then quickly segued into another story. So a lot of folks believe that these people from the visual were members of the Noosa Temple of Satan that were protesting against Queensland's education department regarding religious instruction classes in schools. Meanwhile, the temple themselves retweeted the clip with the caption, "Satan works in mysterious ways." Yeah, I'm good.
Number 5 on this list is Tsuji-ura. Tsuji-ura is a Japanese fortune-telling ritual that's goal is to tell the user their future. To do this, you're gonna need to summon what many people believe is an undead spirit or a demon, and whenever you do that, there are always some risks involved. You're gonna need a few things to perform this ritual. A comb, something to cover your face with, not just a mask but your entire face has to be covered, and to be at a crossroads that won't be busy. Head to the crossroads with your comb and your face covering. You'll want to get there around 11:50 at night. When the clock hits midnight, take your comb and stroke the teeth of it so that it makes some noise. Then say the following words: Tsuji-ura, Tsuji-ura, grant me a true response. Now wait, it may take a little while, so you have to be patient. If nobody approaches the crossroads or someone you know approaches the crossroads, then sadly the ritual did not work and you can go home. If a stranger approaches though, then it did work. and you have just summoned an undead spirit. Once you see them in the distance, immediately throw your face covering on. When you feel their presence beside you, kindly ask them to tell you your fortune. They should do so, and you will receive an insight into what is to come. The thing about fortunes though is that a lot of times you're not going to like what you hear. We always have these lofty expectations that assume life will always be better than it is right now. Well, what if you knew for certain that it's actually going to be worse and there isn't anything that you can do about it? That's one of the reasons why you shouldn't do this ritual, because knowing what comes can take the meaning out of life. This is also a demonic ritual where you're summoning an undead spirit. It doesn't always go the way that you want it to, and on occasion people have reported that the spirit that they summoned wasn't the one that they expected. Similar to how demons can hijack Ouija board experiences, they could do the exact same thing here. Number 4 on this list is the concentration ritual. This is a pretty strange one where you'll actually learn how you're going to die. If you want to do this, then you won't be able to do it by yourself. You're going to need another person to help you. Close your eyes and clear your mind. Have your friends stand behind you and lightly pound your back as they begin the concentration chant. Now for this video, I'm not going to go through the entire chant because it's actually really long, but to sum it up, there are 5 verses that act as a way of hypnotizing you and sending your spirit away from your body. When it finishes, your friend from behind you will give you a light push that should make you stumble and fall forward. As you're regaining your balance, open your eyes and you should see a color. The color that you see determines how you're gonna die. For instance, red means that somebody's gonna stab you. White means that you will die of old age and you'll go to heaven, whereas black means that you'll die of old age and go to hell. The thing about this game is that you'll never know when this is going to happen to you. So you may learn that you're gonna die from being stabbed, but never know when or by who. So for the rest of your life, you will be living in constant paranoia of somebody stabbing you. I think when it comes to death, ignorance truly is bliss, and learning about how you can die can only ever make your life worse right now. Number 3 on this list is the elevator game. The elevator game is a demonic ritual of sorts that is supposed to grant you the ability to enter another world. This other world is considered by most to be a demon realm. The game itself started in Korea, but has slowly gained more intrigue across the world from people looking to potentially enter hell. To do this, you'll need an elevator in a building that's at least 10 stories tall. The building that you're in should ideally be as empty as possible. Get in your elevator and then proceed to these following floors in order. First, you go to the 4th floor, then you descend to the 2nd floor. Then up to the 6th, and then back down to the 2nd, and then go all the way up to the 10th floor, and then finally back down to the 5th. Now at the 5th floor is when things get interesting. People have done this and have reported having an encounter with a woman. This woman looks normal on the outside, but I promise you that she isn't to be trusted. She will enter the elevator from the 5th floor and do anything she can to gain your attention. This could come in the form of flattery, or she may even antagonize you, but whatever you do, do not pay her any mind at all. There doesn't seem to be a conclusive answer to what happens if you speak to her. However, death or an eternal haunting, these are very much on the table. Once she enters and you don't speak to her, press the 1st floor. If you descend to the 1st floor, get out of the elevator and don't look back. You weren't accepted into the other world. If the elevator starts to go up when you press the 1st floor though, then congratulations. You just made it into the demon realm. The elevator will rise to floor 10, and when the doors open, you will find yourself staring out at a very different version of the 10th floor. From my understanding, it looks very similar to the other side in the popular sci-fi television show Stranger Things. The lights will be out, darkness will flood the space. Apparently some people have reported seeing a red cross if you look out the windows. If you want to get back, then just repeat the steps that you did to get there and you should make it back home. Now this could all just be an elaborate prank to get people to hop in an elevator and waste their entire day by going up and down floors. Because if somebody hops in the elevator, then you have to stop and do it all over again. However, in 2013, a Canadian student died in an elevator, and when people watched back the footage, she was acting very strangely in the elevator prior to dying, almost as if she was being possessed. None of these rituals are an exact science, and any time you attempt to go to another world, expect there to be some potential consequences. Number 2 on this list is the 3 Kings. The 3 Kings is a ritual that should transport one person to an unknown dimension where they may get clarity on their past or future. Now for this ritual, you're gonna need a lot of things to make it work. A room without any outside light at all, a candle, a bucket of water, 2 sizable mirrors, an alarm clock, 3 chairs, a cell phone, and a friend that you trust. Yeah, I know, it's a lot of stuff. At around 11 at night, start setting up your ritual. Set up the chair in the middle of your room facing north and put the other 2 chairs next to it facing the same way. Take your mirrors and put them sitting in the chairs facing outwards. Have the bucket of water close by your chair. Now once all of this is done, it's time for you to go to sleep. Sleep until 3:30 a.m. in the morning. You must wake up precisely at that time and then head over to that room. Close the door and sit in the middle chair with your candle now lit. You should have your friend waiting outside of the door of the room that you're in. Now if all of this has been done correctly, this is when you should start to hear some voices. They'll be coming from the mirrors on either side of you, but it's very important that you do not look at these mirrors or make eye contact with whomever is speaking. You just have to keep staring ahead and try to stay calm. One of these voices will be the fool and one will be the queen. You in this scenario are the king. Being the king, you are allowed to ask questions that you would like to be answered. One of these beings will answer the questions. The problem is that you're never going to know who is who. The queen will tell you the truth, whereas the fool will lie to you. Not knowing who is who and having no way to find out makes it very difficult to discern the truth to these questions. Sometimes they may even respond to your question with one of their own, in which case you're obligated to reply. You will be able to speak to these beings for 1 hour, and right as that hour is up, your friend on the outside needs to get your attention. They should knock first, then try to call you. If you haven't responded to either of those, they need to come inside and throw the bucket of water on you. You may not respond to any of these initially because it's said that this ritual can bring you into a very deep trance. A trance that makes that hour you're sitting there feel like an eternity. An entire lifetime where you're stuck in your own mind sitting in that chair. Considering you don't even know if these answers are true or not, the risk is just not worth the reward for this ritual. Number 1 on this list is the corner game. This may be classified as a game, however it is basically a summoning ritual to bring a demon or ghostly spirit to our world. You can't perform this one on your own. You're going to need to have 4 people in total if you want to do this. You're also going to need access to a house without anything living in it other than you and your 3 friends. Turn off all the lights in your building or your home except for the ones in the room that you've chosen to perform the ritual. This room that you've chosen to do your ritual in, it has to have exactly 4 corners. Can't have any more, can't have any less. Head into your room and speak your name 3 times as you enter. Now before you enter the room, you'll have chosen a speaker. From here on out, after you've said your names, they are the only person that's allowed to say anything. Once you're inside, you've all repeated your names, close the door, and turn off the lights. Everyone has to go to a corner of their choosing now and face into it with their backs to the center of the room. The speaker will then count to 3, and after they have done so, everyone has to move to the next corner of the room in a clockwise direction without looking at the center of the room. Do this exactly 4 times so that you end up in the same corner that you started in. Once this is completed, you will feel the presence of a figure in the center of the room. This is the demon or ghostly spirit that you've just summoned. Now what's kind of ridiculous about this is that you've just summoned this being, but you're not actually allowed to turn around and look at it. You have to remain with your back to the wall and just feel its presence. After you've had enough, you need to do the completion procedure, which is where everyone says their full name backwards 3 times, and then one by one, exit the room hoping that the being doesn't follow you or isn't still there. People trying this game have reported having one of their members disappear and not being able to get them back. People have also said that sometimes the room is now forever haunted by this thing that you just summoned. Either way, I would never do this because you literally can't even see the demon that you just brought here. You go through all of this trouble, risk your life, to just stand with your back to the room, staring at a corner. Not really my idea of a good time. Number 5 on this list is the ritual to the other side. This is a ritual performed to let you experience a little bit of the demon world. Now, unlike some of the other demonic rituals on this list, it's relatively tame, and your life, it's not going to be at stake. However, the mental strain that it can have on you can be extremely costing. You're going to need a sizable mirror, enough that you can put both of your hands flat on it while still seeing your upper body. A completely pitch black room with absolutely no light whatsoever. A singular candle, but one that isn't too large and won't illuminate the whole room. Just something where you can see yourself. Also, an alarm and somewhere to sleep. Now after you have your items, go take a nap. You want to set your alarm for roughly 2 hours of sleep so that when you wake up, you are decently dazed and not fully aware. Right when you wake up, go to your room with your mirror and make it pitch black. Then light your candle and have it somewhere out of sight, just enough light that you can make out your face in the mirror. You want to place both hands on the mirror roughly shoulder width apart and start to stare at yourself. Focus on yourself. Your focus needs to be impeccable if you want this to work. Now start to alter your breathing. A slow breathe in and a longer exhale. You want your mind and your body to go completely blank and feel as if they're exiting your body. If you're doing all of this properly, then you should start to feel subtle vibrations in your hands that ring throughout your arms. This should be followed by your face starting to distort as if you were hallucinating. Now is when the real images start though. People have reported seeing flashes of loved ones who have died where they're supposed to be standing in the mirror, or have their own bodies start to morph into a demon. Sounds and voices will begin to ring throughout the supposedly silent room, and in extreme cases, your entire room will morph itself into a fiery hell. You have now calmed your mind to a state where it is capable of comprehending the demon realm, and you are in it. Now it's relatively easy to snap out of this place and no harm will come to you, but that's not the case for some people. This experience can be extremely jarring and haunt people for the rest of their lives. In very rare cases, people who have tried this have descended into a deep depression or even madness. I can only imagine that knowing what is on the other side and what could be potentially waiting for us is a very scary place to be. Sometimes, guys, ignorance truly is bliss. Number 4 on this list is a game called the Devil's Game. In this ritual, you will basically be summoning the devil, and summoning the devil can be extremely dangerous. To perform the Devil's Game, you will need a few items. A can of salt, 7 candles, red or white is preferred, a lighter or match to light those candles, some red string, it could be rope or yarn if that's what you have, but the color has to be red. You'll also need a full-length mirror. Mirrors are pretty common in these rituals, by the way. And lastly, this must be done in a church, and it must be done at midnight when you do it. Also, you are not allowed to have anything electronic or any religious paraphernalia that may help you, like holy water. Now take your salt and surround the mirror on the ground. Then wrap your mirror with the red string. Take your candles and light them and space them out around the mirror as well. All of these things are actually to help protect you from the devil. The summoning you still have to do. To summon the devil, you actually have to do something sacrilegious in the church. This could be anything, but I think the easiest would be some sort of vandalism. Do that and then close all the doors to the room and kill the lights so that you're only lit by the candles. Close your eyes now and count to 10 with the distinct image of the devil in your mind. After you reach 10, open them. You should be staring directly at the devil in the mirror in place of yourself. Now the devil didn't come all of this way just to look at you, he wants to play. And the game is a simple question and answer game. If you get something right, he'll answer your questions truthfully, but it's not that easy. This is the devil, and the questions that he asks will be specifically made to stump you. In fact, the questions that he asks will be ones that you're never 100% sure that you know the answer to, and therefore you can never be 100% sure if he is telling the truth to you or a lie when he answers your questions. So when you ask him, how am I gonna die? And he answers with, you're gonna get hit by a bus, is that the truth? Or is that a lie? You're never gonna know, and for the rest of your life, you will most likely be petrified of buses. Occasionally, he will also dare you to do something. Now this is interesting because if you complete the dare, you will know for certain that the next thing you ask him will be true. If you do the dare, you could ask him next week's winning lottery numbers and he'd have to tell you the truth. But the dare he gives you, it's not gonna be pleasant. Self-harm. Hurting those that you love, completely going against any morals that you thought you had, those are all completely on the table. You could stand to gain a lot from this game, however you could also stand to lose a lot or gain absolutely nothing at all, just a bunch of paranoia. Anytime you summon the devil, it's a bad idea, and the Devil's Game is no different. Number 3 on this list is Veronica's Game. Now Veronica's Game is a demonic ritual that will summon Veronica, a demon girl who died playing a very similar game many years ago. To get this demon's attention, you will need a few items. A mirror, again, a clock, a quiet room, a candle. This ritual will also require you to perform it at midnight, just like the other ones. Have the mirror set up in your quiet room so that it's at eye level with you. At exactly midnight, light the candle and stare into the mirror. Veronica. Veronica. You have to repeat her name 9 times, staring at yourself in the mirror. After you have done so, extinguish the candle and leave the room. Now, why is this called a game? I don't really understand, because there's really nothing fun about it at all. She's with you now. The demon Veronica is now there with you, and whenever you are by yourself, you will feel her presence. You have just awoken a demon who doesn't want to be awake right now, and she's going to haunt you. You'll feel the temperature start to drop whenever you're by yourself. You may hear sounds that you can't identify or sense movement that you don't understand. It's said that if you ever make fun of Veronica in any way, then that's going to be the last thing that you do. This demon supposedly carries around a pair of scissors at all times and will use them on you if she ever feels that you're taunting her. This demonic ritual should absolutely never be performed because you stand absolutely nothing to gain and potentially your life to lose. Number 2 on this list is a ritual performed by a bunch of high school students in 1986. Now, this ritual has less to do about the otherworldly things that you may summon and more to do with the fact that this is just wrong and you shouldn't ever do this. 12 high school students were linked to a demonic ritual with the goal of praising Satan and cleansing the world of what Satan or these students may qualify as unworthy. These students had found an abandoned house that they painted black and used that as their main base of operations. They painted it black as apparently a way of keeping the badness in and the goodness out. It was here that they had been performing several demonic rituals for months. One of their rituals, though, culminated on the witch's Sabbath. They had been preparing for this day for quite a while, drawing blood circles in their abandoned home, and speaking various incantations to please their devilish lord. The final act, though, involved a sacrifice. On the witch's Sabbath, one of the 12 high school students, a 15-year-old, snuck into an older student's bedroom with a shotgun and used him for the sacrifice. Yeah, this entry gets kinda real. This was their demonic sacrifice meant to appease the devil. Now, I can't say for certain whether the actual ritual worked because there's currently no knowledge on that. But what I do know is that the 15-year-old and those involved went to jail for a very long period of time. I also know that a 17-year-old boy who had absolutely nothing to do with anything died. Like I said, this one on the list is less about what you may summon and the consequences with that, but more about the fact that you should just never do this. And the fact that people thought this was a good idea, it's just complete insanity. Number 1 on this list is a ritual performed by 2 high school students, Mike and Sid. Now, although Mike and Sid kind of sounds like a great name for a sitcom or like a really good cop show, these guys get a little bit darker than that. Longtime high school friends and big fans of the horror movie genre in general, one evening they stumble upon a ritual on a deep part of the internet. The goal is to summon a demon. Even though the boys have a deep respect for demons and don't want to mess around, it's promised online that this demon will be thankful for being summoned and won't cause you any harm. What you need for this ritual is a frog and a specific incantation in a language called Enochian. I couldn't find the specific incantation that the boys used, and frankly, I mean, it's probably a good thing that this information is difficult to locate. Grab your frog by its hind legs. This is gonna be difficult because it has to still be alive when you are doing this. Stick it directly into sunlight and begin to speak your Enochian incantation. Now, I kinda hate this next part because I love animals, but as you're speaking your hex, kill the frog. Let the blood of the frog drop to the ground. If your spell is working, then you will notice pretty rapidly that the frog itself will start to wither up and shrink. Now, it's said that this should summon a demon in front of you. However, when the boys did this, that's not what happened. Sid was watching as Mike uttered the final words to their ritual. After it was done, Mike stood there for a moment, silently, with the dead, withered up frog in his hands, until he twisted his head 180 degrees backwards and stared directly at Sid with his eyes rolled completely back in his head. Then, without warning, he lunged after Sid in a fully unnatural, inhuman way, spitting and cursing as he did. Sid dodged him and ran out of the house as fast as he could, not stopping for 10 whole minutes. After an hour of waiting and regaining his courage, he carefully made his way back to go check on his friend. Mike, was lying completely naked with scratches all over his body, unconscious in the middle of the basement. When he woke up, he had absolutely no memory of the entire incident at all and doesn't know how he got there.